Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. This is going to be another solo episode, so no guest on here today. It's just you and I. And we're going to talk about today my favorite topic, which you've heard me say many times, which is organic marketing. So how are you going to use grassroots marketing and strategy in order to get new students in your school? Okay, that means without paying for ads. And this is why it's so important. Let's say you're paying for Facebook ads for your martial arts school. Okay. Now, no matter how much money you pay every month, you're still going to have to pay every month forever in order to get new students, whether you're paying the ad agency or you're paying, Meta or Facebook or Google AdWords, you're going to have to pay them forever. Okay. If you stop paying them, they're not going to be like, oh, well, you're a great client for a year. We'll still send you leads. That's not how it works. But with organic, here's the thing. You don't have to pay them anything. You do have to put in sweat equity, so it does require work and building relationships. But if you do it correctly in the beginning, you get paid or you get leads forever. Okay, as long as you just like cultivate that relationship over time, you'll be able to get leads from it for a really, really long time. So that's why I feel like this is so important. And today I'm going to show you and I'm going to explain to you what exactly is the Triangle Codex. So you may have seen it in my emails, you may have heard me talk about it before, but what exactly is it, and how are martial arts school owners using it across the country in order to get new students? So just like this past week, if you may have gotten an email from me, Christian, he got 11 new students in one day using the Triangle Codex strategy. Or my client, Zach, who's in the ATA for his Taekwondo school, who got a bunch of new students this past weekend. I forget the exact number. I believe it was 10. He got 10 new students this past week, all organically, zero ad spend. And he's going to be able to do this year after year with those schools and never have to depend on ads. Okay. By the way, I got tons of other school owners that do, okay, 3 this weekend or 5 this weekend or 4. I'm not talking about insane numbers. I'm not telling people, hey, you're going to get 100 new students this month. Absolutely not. Organic is not like that, but you will get 3 this week, 2 next week, 4 next week. At the end of the month, if you have another between 7 and 15 new students that are on top of what you're already doing for ads or on top of what you're already getting from your websites or walk-in or referrals, like where would your school be at 6 months from now? And that's why I feel like this is so important for martial arts schools to kind of get up their butt and stop resting on their laurels and go out there and earn new students and not just depend on people to just show up to their martial arts school. I think we've all gotten a little bit lazy since COVID, maybe even before then. So I'm going to talk today about the Triangle Codex. This is a 3-pillar system that we use in order to get new students. So when you become a client of mine, there's 2 different ways to become a client of mine. There's the Black Belt Business Academy, which is a group coaching program designed specifically for martial arts schools under 100 students. And the goal is to get you past that first milestone. If you're over 100 students, that program is not going to be right for you. It's a group coaching program to help kind of the smaller guys or the girls is starting out in their martial arts journey, or maybe they've been open for a really long time and they just can't afford like a one-on-one coaching. So it's a group coaching program where you get office hours, you get access to a custom AI chat GPT that teaches you how to do the Triangle Codex, which I'm going to explain today. It gives you access to a ton of like resources, like new student applications and options for how to do onboarding for new students, text templates for marketing. It's a ton of stuff, even more than I can remember in this moment. But if you reach out to me on Instagram, send me a DM and say, hey, can you send me the information about the academy? I'll send you the offer. And I'll add the link to this as well so you can look at it and see how it works. But it's designed just for school owners under 100 students. Now, once you get past that milestone, then you're eligible to be a part of the Black Belt Business Elite program, which is one-on-one coaching with me where you can take your school to next level where it's 30, 50, or 100K a month. Some of my clients are already in the 100K a month range. They want to get to 120 or 140 or 150. It really depends where you're at, and it's custom design based on where you're at, where you want to go, using all organic marketing strategies. So let's dive in. The Triangle Codex. Okay, that's a 3-pillar system in order to get new students organically. So the first part of the Triangle Codex is going to be recruiting new students through your local schools. And the way who we focus on for that is public and private elementary and middle schools. Okay. So here's the beautiful part about it. The schools in your area are not going anywhere. Okay. They're always going to be there for a really long time. So, Facebook, like, yeah, it's been around for a really long time. Instagram, but that stuff could disappear over the course of a couple of months and be gone. Like the relevancy can be done. Then you have to build up your whole brand on some new website or some new social media that maybe you haven't used before, maybe you don't want to use. Okay. So that's why this organic marketing is so important because schools are going to be there. Parents are always going to send their kids when they're at work to some sort of educational facility. All right. So what we do is in the first part of the Triangle Codex is we create a hit list. So what a hit list is basically like a, a spreadsheet or a form that we fill out of all the local schools in our area. Now it's not just public schools, but it's private schools as well. Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, doesn't matter. As long as there's an educational facility in our area, we put it on the list. Okay. I call it a Rolodex. Okay. Or sometimes I call it a hit list because these are the schools that we try to hack our way into in order to create school talks. Now, we'll systematically go through each one. And what we do is we create a school talk with the school that is not just something that's canned or something that's like a seminar where the kids just kind of sit there kind of bored while the instructor just talks about life lessons like confidence and discipline. These are interactive programs that we design around whatever the school needs. Okay, so here's what I mean. If you just throw crap at a wall at a school and talk to the guidance counselor or the principal, and you say, "Hey, here's our program. Here's how it works," it may hit, but it may not hit. Okay, it may not resonate with them. They might not want it. So what we do is we talk to the school while we find out what is it that they actually want. Like, what are they struggling with that school year specifically? That you can create a program, a school talk that's going to help with that challenge. Okay. So just like when a parent comes in for your martial arts school, you don't just say, we do this, we do that. We focus on confidence and discipline and respect and physical fitness and flexibility and self-defense. Yeah, that's all great. But what if they don't want all those things? What if they only are there because they want their child to be stronger, right? Or they have friends outside of a team sport. You want to find out what it is people want in order to give them that exactly instead of just kind of guessing. So the same thing goes with schools. Okay, so when we go to set up a school program, we'll find out like what issues do you have this year, and we'll create a school talk designed around whatever challenges they have specifically. Okay, so for example, a school might have an issue with, I hear this a lot, exclusionary bullying, where it's like, hey, the kids are at school, they don't necessarily yell at each other or beat each other up, but they'll exclude each other from playing sports or hanging out in the playground or not letting them talk to certain friends. And when we do a school talk, we'll have like a general template of idea of what we want to talk about, but a portion of it will customize based on what that school actually needs. So that means during the school talk, we'll spend about 5 to 10 minutes talking about exclusionary bullying, if that's what the school wants, or if they want they want to talk about kids spending too much time in the bathroom, right? Or whatever their issue is. It comes off differently coming from a martial arts instructor that's there and the kids are having fun with than it does with, the teacher in their school that they see every day. Just like, the martial arts teacher could tell a kid something and they may listen, but when the parent tells them something, they may not listen. So same idea, right? So we create a program that's custom designed for what the school actually wants. And then when you do that, what do you think the school does and the teachers do? They become your biggest supporter. They love it. They're like, oh my God, this person is actually teaching the issues that we have at our specific school. And that's how you get invited back year after year after year. And that's how you that's how they actually want you to come instead of you knocking down doors and trying a million different ways to get in. Okay, so first part of the Triangle Codex is going to be school talks with local, elementary, middle school, public and private schools. You could do high school. I try to stay away from that, not because it's bad. It's just a lot more difficult, and we'll have so many new students from the public schools, and there's so many opportunities in elementary and middle school that the high school is just kind of unnecessary. But if you want to take that leap, God bless you, go for it. But that's going to be the first part of the Triangle Codex is going to be schools. What we'll do is we'll create a school talk. Then what'll happen is we'll reach out to all those students. Okay. If you want to learn how to actually reach out to them, what to say, how do you get their information, That's what I teach people within our within the Black Belt Business Academy and within the Black Belt Business Elite, the one-on-one coaching, which is exactly how to put all this stuff together, like the resources, the templates, the scripts, everything you need. I give it to you, and we just tinker it a little bit based on your messaging and your logo and your area and like what actually resonates with your school's culture, and then we employ it. So I make it very, very like easy for my clients, almost like where they couldn't mess it up if they tried, right? Because I give them kind of everything. So that's going to be the first part of the Triangle Codex. Okay, so we go to a school, we create a school talk with them, and the first part is obviously like hacking your way in, right? How do you get a school to actually accept you? I'll go over another podcast episode on exactly how it works. I think I may have already recorded one previously, but so you got to learn how to like hack your way in to get accepted. But the next part is obviously creating a program that's really exciting for the school. And the third part is like, okay, how do you get those people to actually show up to your martial arts school and become new students? So what we do there is we host a beginner martial arts workshop where we have the students come into our school. Sorry about that. If you're watching video, a little fly just flew by. I don't know what that thing's doing. So when we do a school program, if we do it and we spend a lot of time and energy and effort teaching these classes, and by the way, it should be like 1 day, 2 days max. Don't do PE teacher for a day. Don't do career day. Those things don't work. Okay. I mean, they can a little bit sometimes, but if you do it the right way, you'll use the least amount of energy and get the most amount of back for your school, and not just like goodwill, because goodwill doesn't pay the bills for your school. You'll actually get new students to show up to your school and actually enroll. So what we do is we host a beginner martial arts workshop that we invite the students in for free. And then that weekend, we host a beginner martial arts workshop where we have an irresistible offer, something that's like amazing, they can't get anywhere else, that's only good for that day, and we enroll them as new students that day. Okay, so that's the first pillar of the Triangle Codex, is school talks that are customized to what the school wants. So they invite you back year after year. So it's sustainable growth over long periods of time. It's not doing like a one-time thing. It's a gimmick and works great. This is about 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, long-term success for your school, which means long-term recurring revenue, which is the name of the game, right? Long-term recurring revenue that you can depend on for a really long time. Okay, so it's the first part of the Triangle Codex, and getting them into your school and then enrolling them in your school. That's the first pillar. Then it goes to the second pillar, okay, and that's going to be the younger kids. We're going to focus on daycares and preschools. Now, if you're thinking, I don't teach 3-year-olds, okay, great. Well, a lot of those daycares or preschools will have 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. So we create programs with those educational facilities, and we'll say same sort of thing, except we don't necessarily customize it based on what they want, because that age group, like we kind of know what they're gonna. We focus more on making it fun rather than educational, which is still what we do in the school programs, like the public and private elementary schools and middle schools. But the daycares and the preschools, they're young. They might be 4 or 5 or 3 years old. So we want to make sure they're just like really having a good time and get them really excited. Okay, so what we would do is we create what's called a super kid program. We create a 3-day program with them where we go back each day. We teach a really fun class. We have all this pre-communication that happens their between the instructor and the parents of the school, those kids in the daycare or the preschool. There's a ton of communication, and we do it for 3 days in a row. We don't go back for once a week for 6 weeks. Don't do that. Okay. The reason why we don't do that is because I've done that a million times before. And what happens is it takes forever to complete a program. It's like, okay, it takes like 6 weeks. Like you have to keep this on your mind for like a month and a half. The second thing is it really like dilutes your resources. Okay, so if you have to send an instructor out every day, whether it's you or someone else, uh, once a week, like that's a lot. I'd rather do a couple days and then convert them to new students and be done. Right, move on to the next thing. If you dilute your resources, and then especially if you don't get results from it, then that's how you create burnout. And that's how you will end up wanting to do these programs again. It's not like they didn't work, you just didn't have the right strategy to make it happen. So we'll do 3 days called a Super Kid program. At the end of the week, we'll host a white belt ceremony where the kids will have a chance to earn their white belt. We'll get pizza for them. We'll have also an irresistible offer that's good for that day, and we enroll them that day. Okay, now how do you enroll them like that day? Like we don't go into trials, we don't discount our tuition, we don't do any of that. We go right into full membership that day. How do you do that? Well, it's all about the communication that happens beforehand. It's like pre-enrolling people before they ever get to your school. Because when you're enrolling a student one to one, like you're having a conversation, it's a lot different because you can answer questions, you can find out what their pain points are. It's a lot different than enrolling one to many when you're doing a mass enrollment. Okay? But that's what I teach our clients to do. Like that's how Christian this past week got 10 or 11 new students, right? That's how John got 3 new students this past weekend. That's how Colin got 3 new students this past weekend, right? Like, and if they do that all the time, think about it, 2 or 3 or 4 days, 4 times a month, like your school's gonna explode because that's on top of everything else you already do, right? I wouldn't make this the only thing. I would do it on top of everything else. Um, but that's how you take your school to the next level. So don't do a trial offer, go right to a membership. But the way we do that is we have a ton of communication with the parents before the program ever even happens. That way they know who we are, they like us, they trust us. And the kids, because you teach them 3 days in a row, they actually get really good at what you teach them. Okay, because think about it, like if you ask your black belts what they learned last week in class, I bet you half of them forget. Okay, sometimes I forget what I learned last week or the last class. So how do you expect a 4-year-old, if you do a 6-week program where you go once a week for 6 weeks or once a week for 4 weeks or whatever it is, how do you expect them to remember what happened last week? They can't really. Like, some of them might remember some parts of it, but that's why we do 3 days in a row, is because you build up so much momentum and it's fun and it's so exciting, and they actually like remember the day before. That way, when you do a class in front of parents, they're like, "Holy crap, these kids are amazing. Look at how much they accomplished in just a couple days. It's super impressive." Okay, we'll have an irresistible offer. We'll have all the communication beforehand, so they already know, like, and trust us. They'll know the memberships, they'll know the schedule, know all that stuff. So when they come in that day, it's hot, ready to enroll. Okay, and once again, I give all the resources, the communication, everything to my clients, and actually walk them through it, like, step by step, so they can actually avoid mistakes and pitfalls that I've fallen into a million times, and like mistakes that I made over the course of a decade, so they don't make those same mistakes. So actually, they can convert those students in mass. Okay, the most I ever got in one day was 29 new students. I'm really hoping one of my clients can beat me as I continue to coach clients across the U.S. and also I've coached clients in Australia and Ireland. So I'm really hope someone beats me. My record is 29 new full memberships in one day, in 1 hour, which was like totally completely changed my school and changed my life going forward. And for a long time, I only taught this stuff to the people in our franchise and martial arts schools, like our people. It wasn't until like years later when I decided, okay, I'll teach this to many years later. I decided to teach this to other people. Okay, so we have the first 2 pillars of the Triangle Codex are schools and daycares. Oh, here's some balloons coming up. The last thing is going to be uh, the last pillar is going to be small businesses. Okay, so what we do is we teach school owners how to create strategic partnerships with local small businesses in their area, typically family friendly businesses. So let's say pediatricians or trampoline parks or music schools or dance schools or gymnastic schools or swim clubs, right? Or like arcades in the area, right? Places where the parents of the families that attend your school, besides going to your martial arts school, these are the places that they go. These are the places they go on a weekend, or this is the place they go after they drop their child off in martial arts class. And we instead of just like dropping flyers off or that kind of sit there for a couple days and they disappear and nothing really happens, we teach school owners how to create a strategic partnership with those businesses. So that way they're able to uh, that business refer new students to them, and they're able to get new students all the time that they don't rely on for ads or organic or just like school or daycare programs, but they're able to get a trickle of new members over time. Now, when you do a school talk or you do a daycare program or preschool, the first 2 pillars of the Triangle Codex, those are usually like tsunamis, like kind of like big waves of new students because it happens kind of all at once through a mass enrollment. When you do organic marketing and strategic partnerships with small businesses, it's more like a trickle over time, right? You have might have 1 new student this month, 2 next month, 3 a couple months from now. But if you do that over long periods of time, that's how you really build up the base of the bottom line of your school. Okay, that is how you have sustainability. This is all about long-term growth, not about the best Facebook ad that works for a couple weeks and then stops working. Okay, so the third pillar of the Triangle Codex is strategic partnerships with small businesses in your area. And we teach our clients step by step exactly how to do each one of those pieces. So that way they can enroll new students, have new students referred to them from the local businesses in their area that they don't have to like pay for. Which is really the whole point of this is like, how do you get new students for free, working smarter, not harder, not just spending money, thousands of dollars in ads a month, not just depending on that. And by the way, I still feel like you should run ads. Like we run ads too. I pay for ad agencies as well. So I've used and still use GoPro. Others, some my other location uses Relentless. Like there's a lot of good resources out there for running ads. This should be on top of that. So not replace it. It should be on top of it. Okay. And the last thing is I think this is really important to go over and why organic marketing is so important is if you do these things, you will dominate your local market. You know why? Because if you think about it, if you're part of like a child's daycare, okay, or preschool, then they see you again in school. And then the family sees you again at the local business, right? And they're referred, like you're blanketing the entire area. That is everywhere they go, right? So then you're able to totally dominate. You know why? Because the martial arts school and the other martial arts school, they aren't doing this. Okay, they are not doing this organic marketing. You know why? Because A, it requires work and effort, and B, because maybe they just don't know how. So this is getting like an unfair advantage where you can dominate your local market organically, blanket the entire area with the education system and the small businesses, and then people cannot compete with you. And it's really unfair. And if you get your foothold in it, like the schools are not going to do a program with another martial arts school. They already know, like, and trust you. The small businesses, they're not going to do that with them. Right. And that's how you kind of corner yourself and you own your territory so no one can come take it later. So even if you're a school that's been open for 15 years, okay, and maybe like you've done a lot of things that worked, and maybe like you did school programs in the past that worked for you, and maybe it's not working now. Okay, if another martial arts school comes and you have this young martial arts school owner, kind of like me, and I come in and you've been open for 15, 20 years, and maybe you did school talks before, and you don't do them now, and I come in and I'm excited and I'm new and I'm hungry, I'm gonna do them, and I'm gonna like be able to destroy you. Okay. And when I started my martial arts school, there was another martial arts school that had been there for 25 years. Everyone knew it as the Yellow Building. It's like a great corner in the community. It was in a mall, a shopping center, like a great intersection. Like a ton of traffic would go by. Everyone knew it. It's like the Yellow Building. It really stood out. And when I came on board, I started working. People would ask me like, "Oh, are you the Yellow Building? Are you the Yellow Building?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." But here's where I am. So everyone, it was like kind of like in the community. After about 4 years and me figuring the first 2 years, I couldn't figure this stuff out. And then between years like two and like four, that's when I really started to do this and do it really well. I get into a lot of schools in the area. And eventually every school, we were in over 18 schools in our area, both public and private. That school, martial arts school, shut down. I'm not proud of that. I'm like, oh yeah, that person failed. All right, I crushed them. But like, I'm doing the best I can in order to make my business grow. And if you don't do that for your martial arts school, someone else like me is going to learn how to do this. They might become my client, and they're going to dominate. And so even if you don't do this as like I want new students necessarily, I want to grow my school tremendously. Even if it's like a defensive tactic of like, okay, I want to be in the schools or the daycares and the local businesses so no one else can, so you can control your territory. I think it's really powerful for that way as well. So anyway, those are the three pillars of the Triangle Codex. I hope that's helpful. I know people ask me all the time, like what is the Triangle Codex? How does it actually work? This kind of breaks it down. If you want all the templates, the resources, the coaching to make it happen, everything you need to be successful at this, instead of making a bazillion mistakes and try year after year after year like I did, and just like flailing over and over again and embarrassing yourself, and you want results like right now, if you want to get 30 new students in the next 60 days without paying a dime on ads, send me a message on Instagram, Black Belt Brenner 1. Visit my website, wyourdojo.com. I'll set up a 10-minute discovery call with you, totally free, just to find out a little bit more about your school, see if you're eligible, so I can help you grow your school organically so no one else can take over your territory. Hope that's helpful. I'll catch you guys later. Your biggest hype man, Matt Brenner. Bye.